morning. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the graduate school panel with UC San Diego Alumni. My name is Marcy Morrison, and I am a pre-grad pre-law advisor in the UC San Diego Career Center, and I'm also an alum. Go Tritons! And today we'll be spending the first half of this event with the panelists answering questions, and then there will be breakout rooms, and you can go ahead and ask them questions. To get started, I wanted to say thanks so much for the alumni all over the United States joining us. And I thought it'd be more interesting to have them introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what did they study undergrad, when did they graduate? Like I know for Diva, for example, she did undergrad, master's, and now PhD. So your introduction will be a little longer. And then what did they study undergrad and in graduate? And then also where they're going to grad school, and if they graduated, what are they doing now? So I'll call on you. And so Diva, do you want to go ahead and start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for organizing this, Marcy. These events are really important, in my opinion. I attended a bunch of these. And my name is Diva. I did my undergrad in Mexico City in engineering and biotechnology. Then I moved to UCSD in the bioengineering department to do my master's. And now, finally, I'm in Florida, Scripps Research Institute, doing my PhD in immunology.
Thanks so much, Diva. And Spencer, tell us a little bit more about you.
Hey everyone, thanks to Marcy and to the Career Services or the Career Center team for organizing this event. I'm Spencer. I'm currently a second year Master's in Education Policy study student at George Washington University out in DC. I've got my bachelor's in history with a minor in political science from UC San Diego in fall of 2023. And I'm currently in my, as I said, second year master's student, and I'm also in my, I guess, hopefully, soon to be graduate in my last month of the program essentially. Got about a 2.5 weeks worth more of classes, and we'll be going to graduation up pretty soon. So time's gone by quick, and DC is just a really great city to be in for the world of education policy and public policy more broadly. But I'm looking forward to the event and to helping address any questions and that people may have. Go Tritons.
Thanks so much, Spencer. It's so funny you said like it does go quick. Like I was saying to all of you before this call started, I feel like I just helped all of you yesterday. And so it may seem far away for a lot of people listening today, but next thing you know, like you'll be done with grad school too. It's crazy. So Raina, speaking of being done, right? You're one of those people.
I
So
know.
please share.
Yeah, so I just graduated from grad school last May. I did my master's in UX design at Pratt Institute, and before that, I studied cognitive science with a specialization in design at UCSD. Currently, I'm working as a product designer at Amazon, so happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much, Raina. And Simona.
Hi everyone, I'm Simona, and I actually just graduated from UCSD last year, and I was studying bioengineering with the specialization in bioinformatics. And right now I'm in Northwestern University and doing my first year PhD in biomedical engineering right now. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much, Simona. Okay, great. I know that this, like, just being a part of the process with all of you, like, it's a bit of a journey, right, to figure out where you want to apply. And I would love for you to talk a little bit more about how did you choose the schools that you applied to, and where did you apply? So, we'll go backwards this time. This time we'll start now with you, Simona.
Yeah, sure. So I think for myself, because I'm in an engineering major and I had a really good experience during my undergrad doing research with my like undergrad advisor. So that makes me to think about like I need more attention during research. So that's why I decided to apply only to private school because I think in that way then you will have more attention from your PI and from your department. Also like you have a less amount of people in your cohort, so you're able to like make a lot of close connection in that way. So that's why I decided to only apply to private schools. And then also for sure, I also think the reputation of the program and the school also really matters for myself because I'm an international student and I haven't decided if I want to like stay in the US or go back to my home country. But if I decide to go back to my home country, I think the ranking wise, the school really matters as well. So that's why I decide to like apply for only like top 20 universities from my application progress. And also, I think another thing really matter is about like if you think the the your capability really match the school you're applying, you have to select like the ambitious schools and the match schools or the schools that you think you will have like higher possibility to get in. In that way, you will be more secure and you won't feel like too anxious about the entire process, I think.
That's great advice. Thank you so much, Simona. Raina.
For me, so back in UCSD, I studied cognitive science, and it was more like a bit of everything. So by the end of my study, I wanted to do something more specialized in UX design specifically. So that's why when I applied for grad school, I was first looking more into art schools because I want something very different from UCSD because UCSD is very STEM focused. I want something that's more like art school. So I applied for mostly art schools and then also really look into programs that have a very practical approach when it comes to UX design. For example, they have more like professors who work in the industry already, and then just classes that seems more practical. Because I think for cognitive science, it was still more like theoretical classes or more like research-based stuff. So that's how I approach applying.
Great. Thanks so much, Raina. Spencer.
Yeah, so I think there were a host of different sort of factors or, areas that I had to consider, I think, when, applying and pursuing master's programs. I think, a couple of the top things I think that I considered was first off geography and location. And I think more so, associated with that was where the professional opportunities were at. I knew that when I decided to pursue and apply for master's programs, I cared a lot about being able to gain, either internship or professional experience while, being in school, and being in, a program that I think was flexible and, sort of would give the space and time for students to be able to, gain professional experience. I think mattered a lot to me. So, I mean, and given that I'm pursuing a field within the public policy space. I mean, Washington, D.C., I really do feel that, there's really no better place, I think, to be in terms of being able to get that sort of hands-on experience and potentially networking and connecting with different, scholars or experts or just people involved. And so, I mean, and I've been able to do so and do that and sort of jump around between different think tank and advocacy settings over the past year and a half. And I think I feel that it's set myself up pretty well in terms of, being able to pursue full-time opportunities at this point as I approach the end of my last semester and the end of my master's program. The other thing I'll note too, as I think Simona had mentioned, prestige, reputation, but and maybe I'll talk about this more in the breakout room or later time. But there, what is it? I think in some ways, prestige, reputation. I think for me, sort of it mattered, but I think I will be honest and say I think became sort of less of a concern as I found out some more sort of details and opportunities about my master's program sort of decisions, especially when it came to finances and financing my master's program. Other things like how long the master's program was, whether I wanted to do a 1 or 2 year program. I decided that given that I had graduated a little bit earlier than expected, that I wanted to take more time to pursue different opportunities. And so I did decide that a 2 year was sort of better for me. Cohort size, different course offerings, and just overall fit. I mean, I think that matters a great deal. Being able to find the school that is, the best fit for your interest and what you want to be able to do while you're in grad school and after, I think matters a great deal. And I will say that lastly, that I think I was able to, I think, learn a lot more about each of the schools with Obviously the support and help of Marcy, but also I believe I had, talked with some UCSD faculty, some alumni, current students in each of these master's programs, people who had graduated from these programs. So I did a lot of, reaching out and having to learn from different individuals and different sort of stakeholders, I'll just say, of each of these programs. And I think it, helped a great deal and it informed, I think, my decisions in ways that I don't think otherwise would have been, that may have not been maybe as helpful or may have not been as informative for my decision, just looking, say, at like the college website, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, finding the right school, finding that school that's going to fit you and what you want and what you want to pursue, after the program, I think truly is the number one priority.
Thank you so much, Spencer. Super great. Diva.
Yeah. So for me, I applied one strategy two times, and it kind of worked out for me. But I like maybe wouldn't work out for other people. But what I did was I literally sat down, I did a Google search, and I went like best schools in bioengineering in the United States because I knew I wanted to do it in the United States. And then for my PhD, I was like best schools in immunology in the United States. And from that, I picked out a bunch of schools and I made a whole list. And then I had three criteria to go through. First of all, campus life, which I kind of gauged out by contacting people who are already in those programs through LinkedIn. I just stalked people and I was like, hey, want to have a chat? Definitely not creepy. Like how is campus life in your campus and for your program? Do you have a student group or not? Because I'm a very social person. I love hanging out with people and I just want to gauge that. And second criteria, because I'm in research, I wanted to check out if there is enough faculty in that program, in that school that I would like to work with. If there is, and that's how I started discarding, right? Oh, the school is great, the location is awesome, but just one faculty member, like, do I really want to put all my eggs in one basket? No. And so discard. And then I stayed with where I have three or more professors that I want to work with. And so I have a broader range, right? If I get in, there is a good chance for me to have a bright future. And the third criteria is the city. Like, will I be able to live in this weather? Will I be able to survive in this weather? Will I be able to, is there anything to do in this city or is it like dead? Because this sounds absurd, but it matters a lot. Like, you don't want to be unhappy for the next 5 years in my case, which is a PhD or even a master's. You want to make, as Spencer said, connections, right? You want to meet people, you want to do things. So that's the strategy that I applied twice. Worked pretty well. I don't know how I found it, but it was just like three things that matter to me. I'll just take that.
No, I love that. And I really appreciate everything you guys share because I do feel like there is no cookie cutter answer for the best school for each person. It's very much about like what is, like you said, your values, what's important for you, the program, so many factors. And it does take time to really sort through all of that. So I really appreciate all of your answers. I wish we had like a ton of time to talk about the application process. We don't, but what I'd love to hear is like, I know working with all of you, like I would say like the personal statement and the statement of purpose to me are the ones that require the most time and kind of flushing out and flushing through. And I would say like one key advice that you learned from the process of whether it was the personal statement or statement of purpose, like what you would recommend to people that are listening on this call about the process, right? So whether that's how did you choose what to focus on or how did you get the support that you needed, but one area, like one key takeaway from the application process, especially like I said, with the personal statement or statement of purpose. So again, we'll start back with you, Diva. Like, what is your biggest recommendation for that?
I struggled a lot myself. I remember writing my personal statements, then my statement of purposes, and then I was like, am I repeating myself? Or is this okay? Or is this okay to say? Or is this very cringy? Like, am I talking about too much personal right now? Like, what is happening? So, one advice is talk to people, uh, and don't talk to too many people. So, because too many chefs in the kitchen is also not the right thing to have, right? So, what I did personally was I had uh, two advisors. Okay, one was Marcy, and one was Camilo, actually three, and one was my supervisor, who was my supervisor at that time. Now, these people, I was like, okay, I trust them, professionals, good to go. And that's it. I never talked to my friends about it. I never talked to anyone else about it because then it would just confuse me and I would go down a spiral like, am I not doing this right? Was that bad? Oh my God, this person didn't like it, but the other one did. So everyone will have different opinions. So beware of that. And second, don't repeat yourself too much because it's like you have things on your CV. And the first time I started out with my statement of purpose, people saw it and they were like, "This is your CV. Like this is not your CV. I'm already seeing this on your CV." And so what Camilo gave me as an advice, actually, he was working at the Graduate Student Center at the Career Center with Marcy. And what he said is that your CV is what you did, and what did you feel throughout doing these things? Like, what were you feeling during that time? Is your statement of purpose. And then your personal statement is a little bit more deeper than that. But I still can't explain the difference to you. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I agree, Diva. It's like having like a small team of people to help. And I feel like it's also like going really deeper into the why you chose to do certain things, like what set you on this path, right? Like the deeper reasons of like why you chose to do things too. So it's like kind of had to keep peeling, getting to the core of it and having like a consistent thread throughout, right? Kind of like the main driver for all of this is that I want to make a difference or whatever that answer is for each person. So, yeah. So, obviously, all of you here did an amazing job because you got into the schools that you wanted to. And, Spencer, what would you say, like, are your biggest takeaways from the essays that you did?
Well, second what Diva said, I mean, make sure to consult with Marcy on your personal statements and statement of purposes. She's a big support, and I attribute it, a big reason for, just the, I think massive improvements that I've had in my statements and my overall application. So do make sure to get that feedback and that support from Marcy and the Career Services Center. I also do want to point out, I think one other Career Services member, Helen Hahn. Marcy, is Helen still at the center? Okay, yeah. No, I met with, I worked with Helen a little bit when I was an undergrad at UCSD, doing essentially club and organization when I was part of the undergraduate history network. And she was a big help. I gone to her for some for some resume help, I believe, and she was also a big help. So just Helen and Marcy did, make sure to meet with them and get that support because they are truly big helps. But I think, like you said, Marcy, I mean, I think one of the big things that I took away from the whole application process was really knowing your why. It for me, I think being able to sort of detail what it was about the experiences that I had specifically within my tutoring and TA experiences within after school settings and a couple of school and classroom settings. What is it in those experiences that led me to pursue a career in education policy, and then also how do the resources, the course offerings, the faculty, the sort of the resources that these programs provide, how does that all align with the professional aspirations and goals that I had, as I aspired to become, an education policy researcher and an analyst. I think was probably one of the most, sort of pivotal things that happened during the whole application statement process, and that I, quite frankly, I don't think I really knew beforehand. But I think being able to really understand your why and see how that flows down to, what you experienced in your prior experiences, what you want to, pursue as a full-time career or in the future. How is it that the school, specific schools and programs, because they do differ between in terms of faculty and resource offerings. And I would even say, I mean, having gone through almost all of this master's program at GW, I do think the focus or emphasis, at least between education policy programs, I think they differ. Some are a little bit more, let's say, theory based. Others are a little bit more technical skill based. Some are larger, some are smaller, some are more, just I don't know, focused on maybe policy. Others might be more focused on advocacy. So being able to determine, I think, what these programs tend to sort of focus on, and be able to sort of tailor your application or statement to, this is how specific programs, aims and objectives are going to help me, and sort of strengthen the kinds of pursuits I want to pursue. I think is probably that's probably most important. And I think it'll help it just personally, it'll help you be able to gain a better sense of you know, understanding why you're doing, what you're doing. And I think that's going to carry forward, I will say, to when you apply for full-time opportunities too. Always good to know your why and why you want a certain position, why you want to do certain work. It's, it comes up a lot.
Thanks so much, Spencer. I appreciate it. Raina, what would you like to share?
I think for me, definitely want to echo what Spencer just said. I think do your research, look into, what classes you're interested from these schools, what professors you want to talk to, and kind of even mention that in your essays. I think would be really helpful. Just so I think for them it shows you that like you have a good sense of like what you want to get out of this program, and you're kind of like already prepared to like be there. But honestly, all these like advice are like Marcy gave it to me. So my biggest advice is to go to Marcy, like ask her a bunch of questions, let her review your essay. That's honestly the only thing I did. And it worked out. Like I got into a bunch of schools. So yeah, my biggest advice is to go to Marcy.
Thanks so much, Raina. And I just want to let you know, we do have an amazing team. I'm not the only one that does graduate school application support.
Mhm.
Like even Diva mentioned, Camilo is no longer a career peer educator, but we also have we have Dylan, who is a current graduate student now. And if you go into Handshake and you look under graduate school application support, any of us can really help. But I think taking advantage of the resources at the Career Center offers and getting that feedback, and we'll be very honest with you, like this isn't clear, what do you mean by this, why did you do this, like we'll poke a lot of holes in it, so like by the time you finish, like you'll feel really solid in like the story that you're telling. So Simona, what would you like to share about your lessons learned in this applying?
So for myself, I think from my personal experience, my problem with my statement of purpose is like I mentioned too much things and I lack of the real emphasis of what I really want to like show to the committee or the professors. So I basically did two steps. The first step is I find some of my friends, not too much, like two or three people that know something about your research, but not everything. So in that sense, they will like their like background will really match the committee or the professors that's reviewing your application. So in that way, they will like tell you, oh, I think this thing is really cool, and I think if they see that, they will be impressed. So I trying to like communicate with them about that, and I keep like those information on my SOP. And the second step is I went to Marcy, and as my like final decision maker, and she helped me like several rounds of the revision, and finally I have my like best version of the SOP at the end.
Thank you so much, Simona. Yeah, no, I would just would like to add to like start early, because sometimes like I think a lot of people here could say that I don't know how many rounds it takes, but sometimes it can take like 10 to 15 like revision rounds of really getting it to the place that you feel really good about it. And sometimes you think you're going down the right path and then you end up scrapping it and starting all over again. So application season opens in the fall and sometimes goes into the winter for especially for grad school. So I even recommend, like, if you're thinking about grad school, start coming to us in the summer is a really critical time to start really mapping out what you really want to talk about and flush it out. So I want to thank all of you so much, because this is super helpful. And I know everyone here listening has taken away more than one nugget. And I know that they're chomping at the bit to ask you guys questions. So Hasmeet has gone ahead and set up breakout rooms for everybody here, including myself as the pre-grad advisor. So you can come and if you have any like more general questions, you can come ask me, or feel free to go to a breakout room. We'll be doing this until about 3:55, and then we can come back to the main room. And as I mentioned earlier, some of you guys joined us later. This is being recorded, and we will get it up on the Career Center YouTube site. And Hasmeet, we can go ahead and stop recording and open up the breakout rooms.